So how did it start for me? Well, I remember Saturday mornings. My dad would get up and he'd be sticking his golf bags in his trunk and telling us he's gonna go do this thing called golfing with his buddies. And when you're a young boy, you idolize your dad. Well, of course I did too. And I remember distinctly thinking, I wanna golf. I wanna golf like Dad. Well, flash forward to, I think I was about 11. Best I could recall, both my parents golfed, and they took me to a golf course called Newport Golf Course down there in Southern California. And it's a little 3-part. And I used my mom's old clubs. And I'll never forget, it was the second hole. It's a huge drop and maybe, 80 yards. So you barely need to hit it and the ball can just roll on. Well, that's what happened. I bopped it out there and the ball got to within 3 or 4 feet. My first round, I got to within 3 or 4 feet. I don't even remember if I put the ball in, but I remember distinctly. So I can see my ball right now on that second hole. Huge down drop. Then, flash forward, I'm playing a course called Mesa Verde in Costa Mesa, California. And my mom and I would go out there. And I would play with my mother. And she just loved playing golf. And once again, I'm playing with her old clubs because those were the closest things that fit me at about 12 years old. And it was a short par 5, and I put it on in 2. And I didn't know what an eagle was or hitting it on in 2, but I remember afterwards everybody just being so excited for me, and I felt like I did something important, And those years, going to sleep after a round, it's like you just replay those moments, and I can still replay them to this day. And that just gives me a feeling that I get to live with every single day. That's how I got addicted to this game, right? Then, as I got a little bit older, I got in my teens, it was all about swinging that driver. I was a small guy. I'm 5'5" now. I was smaller than that back then as a teenager. And just swinging all out and crushing a ball, that was what I wanted. And that gave me like a taste of greatness. Didn't matter my scores weren't so good or I wasn't a great golfer. No, I just loved swinging the ball hard. It's so tempting, this game, and so tantalizing. Those moments that you've got something there and you want more of it. It's a drug, it's addicting. And later on in my teen years, Ian Woosnam became my hero because he's short. He's actually shorter than me, 5'4", won the Masters, great career, love him. And later on, as I got to be in my 20s, I started playing with my friends, and it became just a social thing for us to do, to go out there and laugh and joke and have fun, and sometimes we'd have a few extra beers, and it was just tremendous, and I'll never forget those, and I continually relive these kind of adventures in my games even today. So how did I get started in the golf business? Well, we got to go back a little bit. In my 30s, it was all about score improvement. I passed the just had fun. I wanted to get better. I wanted to break 80. That was my single-minded focus about this game. I couldn't wait for Saturday mornings when I'd have my regular foursome and we would bet, my normal foursome buddies, and we'd bet on KPs, and lunch was at stake, and skins, and we'd do all this stuff. And back in those days, I had this nice little consistent fade that I can count on, and aim for the left side, end up somewhere in the fairway. Well, I wanted to fix that. I went and took lessons. I was doing everything everybody teaches you that you're supposed to do. And the first thing I wanted to learn was how to make the ball go right to left. And I distinctly remember my pro saying, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And I said, "What do you mean? Of course." Well, long story short, I ended up being able to miss the fairway by the left and the right now. Well, anyway, sometimes we all have to have a breakdown in order to have a breakthrough, and that happened to me. I went out after taking lessons and practicing like crazy to try to improve my scores, break 80, and I ended up shooting a 112 at a course outside of Portland called Skamania. And I was so disgusted, I took my clubs and I threw them in the corner of the bag, or the corner of the garage, and I gave up I said, forget it, I'm done. Well, A few months later, I'm in my garage cleaning it out, some boxes in the corner, and there were a box of books. And there were a couple books there from when I was in college in a course called Interpersonal Communications. The books were Psycho-Cybernetics and Super Learning. And both of them, I believe, had references to Jack Nicklaus. They weren't about golf at all. Anyway, I started thinking about what was the concepts here, and over the next few months, and applying it to a lot of things, but especially golf. Anyway, the next summer, it was almost a year later after my breakdown, I go out, no practice, no nothing, a little family weekend vacation out to Central Oregon, Eagle Crest Ridge Course, Central Oregon, and I shoot a 78. It was like out of nowhere. I have no idea how it happened. I ended up going on a tear, researching strategy, the mental game, and later when I heard Tom Watson say this game is about who can manage their emotions, and I thought about all the times where I'd missed a shot and then brought it to the next hole, and where I was nervous on the greens, and I just thought that was it. And I utilized all this information. I drove my scores down into a 5 handicap without practicing, all of this while working 60 hours a week in my corporate job. At the time I had a wife, I had 2 kids, I had obligations. It was crazy, no practicing. I ended up getting a hole-in-one. I shoot a 1 under par on a full-size course, and I research even more. I'm just become fanatic about understanding this game. I ended up interviewing one of the best golfers in the States who would have been to the Masters, Michael Combs, and the PGA. And we put our heads together. I ended up coming out with my first product, Break 80 without practice. And it's been selling ever since. I ended up taking some advanced trainings in personal development and NLP and hypnosis. You know, I don't think I'm all that brilliant, but I did have a boss once tell me I have a very strong, maybe beyond, but he said I have very strong power of observation. You know, he said you could see things that others can't. I'm able to just pick up certain patterns. You know, today, the experience of 1,000 clients in person and writing to 20,000 more and just noticing certain truths about the game and performance and then having them validated by the scientific community later with my research. I put it together in a process, and I work with people all day, every day. And I'm just really excited. I want golfers to feel that excitement that I got when my trusty 7-iron here got that hole-in-one. It was so exciting to have my partner. I didn't dare go reach for that ball. I wanted him to do it, lest somebody think I didn't do it and I planted it there. He pulled it out, he signed my card, I have it up there in my bookshelf. I want people to get the excitement from that. That's why I do this job. And by the way, in golf, it's a metaphor for life. I've learned so much from this game and have it permeated into all areas of my life, and I want that for all my golfers.